A question that appears frequently during workplace investigations is whether an employer can suspend someone from work without having clear proof. Being suspended can feel sudden and confusing. Many employees immediately worry that suspension means the employer has already decided something serious has happened. In earlier videos on this channel, we looked at how workplace investigations normally operate and how investigation meetings are used to understand what happened. But suspension introduces a different concern. Can an employer suspend someone before the evidence has been fully examined? In most organizations, suspension is usually described as a neutral step. Its purpose is not to determine guilt. Instead, it is often used to protect the integrity of an investigation. For example, if there are concerns about potential evidence being influenced, if there may be interaction between employees involved in the situation, or if the nature of the allegation requires temporary separation during the investigation. Because of this, employers are not normally required to prove misconduct before suspending someone. In many organizations, suspension is also expected to be reviewed regularly. This means it should not simply remain in place without ongoing consideration. Employers are normally expected to assess whether the reasons for suspension still apply as the investigation progresses. For example, if key evidence has already been gathered, if the individuals involved are no longer interacting in the workplace, or if alternative arrangements become possible. In those situations, continuing suspension without review may raise questions about whether the measure remains proportionate. This is why many workplace policies emphasize that suspension should be kept under regular review during the investigation. However, that does not mean suspension can be used without careful consideration. Employers are generally expected to apply suspension in a proportionate and reasonable way. It should usually be considered only when less disruptive alternatives are not appropriate. For example, temporary adjustments to duties, changes to reporting lines, or separating individuals within the workplace. If suspension is used too quickly or without clear reasoning, it may raise questions about whether the process is being handled proportionately. This is why many organizations describe suspension as a last resort. Another important point is that suspension does not usually mean disciplinary action has already been decided. It simply means the investigation is continuing while the employee is temporarily away from their duties. During this period, the employer is normally expected to continue gathering information. Witness accounts may be reviewed, documents examined, and investigation meetings arranged. The key purpose remains the same: to understand what happened before any decisions are made. If you are suspended during an investigation, it can feel unsettling. But the suspension itself is usually only one procedural step in a larger process. Understanding how that process works often makes the situation much clearer. If you would like structured guidance before responding to a workplace investigation, you can book a workplace investigation readiness review. You'll find the link in the description below. And if you are currently navigating a workplace investigation, you may also find the other videos on this channel helpful, where we explain how these processes normally operate. Thank you for watching.